that it was, in fact, Jake and George and the two children, young children as well. While the Wagners were at the border, we also installed a listening device in the vehicle that they were driving. So we touched on this in voir dire about citizens' rights to privacy, certainly. But at this point, we had an overwhelming amount of evidence that was pointing us to the direction to believe that the Wagner family, Jake, George, Angela, and Billy, were involved in the murder of 8 individuals. We had to coordinate that with other states, and were able to do that. The most interesting thing about that device that was installed in the vehicle, so imagine, if you will, 4 individuals being surprised at a Montana border, agents putting them in separate rooms, and BCI walking in and questioning them. Ohio BCI people walking in and questioning them. First, Billy and Angela get back in the vehicle. First, Billy gets in the vehicle. He's released first, and then Angela gets in the vehicle. Not a word. Not a word about, oh my gosh. Can you believe that happened? What they think we did this? No conversation like that at all. No conversation at all about what just happened. And then George comes out, and then Jake comes out, and then they're released and free to go. We find out later that there's a reason for that, because Billy had told them that, be quiet. There's a listening device. Other records are coming back as well. At the Montana border, we seized a laptop. It was in the possession of Angela Wagner, but we found that it was used by all of the Wagners. We had financial records that came back. We had phone records that came back, phone records from Jake's phone that we had got the search warrant for. Financial records revealed purchases of parts to make a homemade silencer. Sorry, completely out of order here. And going backwards. So, from February to March of 2016, you show purchases of 2 flashlights, drill bits, tap and die, freeze plugs that act as baffles. So this is just a open source video that shows you how to make a silencer out of a mag light. Mag lights has serial numbers. It's actually a way to make it if you can apply to ATF to make it, and that's why they have the serial number on the mag lights, is because for legitimate purposes. You see there in the upper right-hand corner is The Walking Dead. Use mag light silencers because if you kill a zombie and they hear, then the other zombies come. So, and you will learn that Jake was an avid Walking Dead watcher. So we show purchases of items to make a homemade silencer for both a .22 caliber weapon. You can tell based on the size of the drill bits and the tap and die, and a 40 or 30 caliber weapon. So, and again, you will hear from ATF about this. They will give you information about how you make a homemade silencer. We show 2 masks purchased by George on April 9th of 2016. We show Jake, at least his awards card being used to buy 7.62 ammo and a magazine for an SKS, also in April. There was a phone jammer purchased by Angela A phone jammer jams signals for phones. So say you're going to go murder 8 people and you don't want them to be able to call for help, then you have a phone jammer on your person and it jams the signals. It's actually illegal because it can interfere with aircraft and such. So, but that was purchased, and a bug detector was purchased by Angela. There were the financial records also just confirm what we already knew, which was this is a very, they function as one unit in pretty much everything they do. Financially is no exception. The house in Peterson Road was in both Jake and George's name. Angela lived there with them. They interchangeably used each other's credit cards and account, PayPal accounts or Amazon accounts or whatever. And we showed George buying fuel filters from OK Auto Parts on April 18th of 2016, and that will come into play later. Phone records revealed a list of guns that Jake had made, and the gun list includes an SKS belonging to George Wagner. It was a list of all the guns that the Wagners owned and who owned them, or who they belonged to, right? There was a little Cricket that belonged to Sophia. There was an SKS that belonged to George, and there was a 1911 22 that belonged to Jake. So this was just a list that he had made in 2015 of phones that they just kind of a inventory of the phones that they did. We also learned that both Jake and George dyed their hair the week of the homicides, dyed it very dark. Now, again, this is kind of an oddity, but Jake Wagner fancied himself a Norman Reedus lookalike. Norman Reedus is the actor who plays Daryl on The Walking Dead. He also plays in another movie called Boondock Saints. You will hear more information about this in the course of the trial. So again, please follow the court's order and don't go home and watch it. Only consider what you hear here. But Boondock Saints is the story of 2 brothers who are vigilante killers. Kill people we need killed, right? And they're justified. And they say scripture over the last guy right before they kill him. And their dad, in Boondock Saints 2, the dad also joins in. The 2 brothers, one of the brothers is played by Norman Reedus, okay? So this becomes important when, again, we're examining Jake's phone, and we find that at 7:06 p.m. on the night of the homicides, he Googles and watches a scene from Boondock Saints 2. It's called the Ding Dong Motherfucker scene, okay? It's not even one of the brothers in the scene, but he's got 1911 22s with silencers on them, and utter some profanities, like they're arriving to kill these people, right? They watched that at 7 o'clock the night before they left to go kill these 8 people. That's important